Can you hear me back?
Hear me now. Can you hear me up over here? Is it loud enough? Okay, good. Good. This is, tonight's going to be our second concert out of 5, and I just wanted to mention that over here on my right, stage right, your left, depending on where you are, it's the Lunenburg Athletic Hall of Fame, and they are, all the money they raise tonight goes towards putting the induction ceremonies together and help defray the cost for that. They're going to be selling hot dogs, drinks, strawberry shortcake, and baked goods, and the balloons are free for the kids. So if you'd like to give a balloon to a child, remember there's a weight limit. You can't give too many balloons to a small child because then you know what happens. We'll have a Dumbo or Mary Poppins thing going on here at the gazebo. You'll notice a young man here in a white t-shirt with a camera. That is the Lunenburg Public Access. So any of these concerts, you can go on YouTube in a couple of days and you can actually see it again. What's really cool is my parents live in Washington State, and on Wednesday they watched the concert. So, and they watched last week's twice. So now only a parent does that. Those of you who've had kids know what that is. Oh, let's watch it again. And they watched it twice because my grandchildren ran up over here and they could see the top of their heads. So, that's what's going on here. We're going to have a great concert for you tonight. Lots of things going on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second concert in our 23rd year, right? We figured it out. It's 23 years. Right, Rick? 20, this is our 23rd year here in Lunenburg, right here on the Common. It is the 10th anniversary of this gazebo. It is the 20th anniversary of this gazebo. And Kathy Herrick and a few other people, townspeople, were on that committee to build it. So we thank them. If you are able, please rise for our national anthem. Thank you very much. We opened up with the National Emblem March, written by Mr. Bagley, who at one point lived in City Hall, Fitchburg, in that building. It's kind of interesting. Next up, and I don't know if the chapter lanes are around, because this next march was dedicated to Harry T. Gardner, Secretary of the Cincinnati Automobile Dealers Association. And I make that connection because about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, funding for the band became a little wonky, and I believe, if I'm correct, the chapter lanes donated money to keep the band concerts going. So, I'm sure they're not here or whatever, but think of the chapter lanes and the dealership. So, Henry Fillmore wrote this march and dedicated it to the Cincinnati Automobile Dealers Association. It's called the Footlifter March. All right, as I explained last week, this band does not practice. We give out the music, and we perform for you. So generally, on a piece that's a little more involved, we have to give them a little bit of what's going on. So, we're going to do Sullivan's Operatic Gems. This was written and published in 1921. So if you were on the Common in 1921, this would have been the hot new arrangement of Gilbert Sullivan songs. So it features melodies from the HMS Pinafore, Iolanthe, Gondoliers, Mikado, Pirates of Penzance, and Patience. So if you do it correctly, you'll recognize some of them. If you don't do it correctly, just applaud anyway. What was weird about that arrangement, it was written in the style of the 1921s, you know, and whew, gives us a run for our money. Hey, we're going to bring this up a little bit into the, oh gosh, I guess the early 20th century with themes like old times. All right, we're kind of moving up in our timeline. Alexander's Ragtime Band, Peg of My Heart, I Want a Girl, By the Light of the Silvery Moon, and the 12th Street Rag, a medley of old-time themes.
Ready,
All right, so here we are back. That was just a cool arrangement, got your toe tapping. We're going to turn a little bit more serious here for a moment. I've been leading this band for 23 years, and during those 23 years, we have had 3 band members who have passed away. Roger Gilchrist was the manager and the gentleman who put this band together back 23 years ago, and an outstanding trombonist. Doug Kasker was a baritone player and was unbelievably helpful in setup and takedown also. And John Hemingway, who played baritone with an occasional trombone. So on the bandstand, we have an empty chair. One tradition musicians have is there's a song called The Vacant Chair, where we take a moment to think of those that have gone before. I'm sure everyone here has someone that they could probably hold in their thought. We're going to be holding musicians in our thought here. So we're going to play The Vacant Chair. And then immediately after, we're going to do American Patrol, the Glenn Miller version, because a trumpet player in the area, Gene Caressa, passed away a few weeks ago, and those are the tunes he played. So I thought it'd be kind of neat to honor him also. So we're going to do The Vacant Chair, and then the Glenn Miller arrangement of American Patrol. So, just a little story. Glenn Miller wrote arrangements for the band when he was in the military. And he wrote that because he was tired of marching to marches. And I believe he did get in trouble for writing this and marching to it on the field at the parade formations. And the band's playing along and everyone's kind of marching like, this is a different kind of march. So it's kind of neat. So, you know, I thought if we were going to play the Glenn Miller American Patrol, we should play the standard one that would have been played, wait a minute, as I get the date, in 1919, all right? So, 100 years ago, this would have been another hot off the press. It's called American Patrol. Wow, isn't that cool? And the march opens with a simple drum cadence as if the band were approaching from a distance. So this is one of those, a band comes from a distance and walks by. The first melody was written by the composer and gets louder and louder and louder as the band gets closer. Then there are patriotic tunes that include Columbia, Gem of the Ocean, Dixie, and Yankee Doodle. And then the pretend band marches past the parade, watching the crowd with exciting strains and passes on with the music fading away. And then concludes with a final burst of wild music. So it's kind of a little parade after the 4th of July. By the way, when I first heard this tune, American Patrol, all I could think of was the Burger King merry-go-round. Okay? That I didn't know it was a real song. Growing up, to me, it was the merry-go-round at Burger King. You'll recognize it when it comes in. You're going to go, hey, that's the melody from the Burger King merry-go-round. So you got to hear, that was the tune in Glenn Miller's mind when he says, I think I'll write a march. I have an idea for a march, but I think I'll put some swing to it. And he did. So we have the two versions, and I'm sure many of you are thinking back to that old Burger King merry-go-round, little hamburger thing going around. So this year I wanted to feature some Irish tunes each week. I have a good friend who's Irish. And we're going to do this medley written in 1922. So it's got all the real, it's another one of those. It's got Gary Owen, which I just discovered is a tune. Cool. St. Patrick's Day, the Irish Washerwoman, which I have been told is an American tune. It is not played in Ireland. Pop Goes the Weasel, Wearing of the Green, the Arkansas Traveler, and Fisher's Hornpipe. So this is my salute to some Irish folk music on the common. Alright, so that was kind of a neat little taste of the Irish. Don't forget balloons, hot dogs, soda, strawberry shortcake, and a 50-50 raffle, which we pull right after intermission. This next tune is a composer collection. Alright, and I'll be honest, I'm not really good with names. If you know who Mike Post is, you'll go, ooh, we're going to play his music. So for the rest of us, it's going to feature the theme from NYPD Blue. And this has a special memory for me. When I was first married, I had no money. And there was a nice little man down the street who did blueberry picking. And he knew that on Thursday night was date night at our house as we sat and watched NYPD Blue and a couple of other shows. And if we had something, we would make a frozen margarita with no alcohol because we couldn't afford that. So he would throw us strawberries and blueberries so we would have something for our Thursday night. And we just wake up and there'd be a pack there, you know, kind of thing. NYPD Blue, that's way more information than you need, but I thought it was kind of cool. The main theme from the A-Team. All right. Can you remember it? I don't. Theme from the greatest American hero, also known as Believe It or Not. And I have to say the Believe It or Not, because now you go, oh yeah, no. So we're going to bring you from the 20s into the interesting 80s and 90s, early 80s and early 90s. I enjoy the Month Post collection. young man in a white T-shirt over here. He's a wonderful representative from the Lunenburg Public Access. You can watch this, other concerts, and all kinds of community events on the public access. And if you go to YouTube and type in Lunenburg Town Band, they'll actually show you these concerts. That's how my folks watch it in Washington. But first, we have a special announcement. Someone is turned 50 today. It's kind of a special day. We'd like to play Happy Birthday. Yes, to you, Corinne. Happy birthday. 1, 2. There you go. And once again, public access TV, you can hear it over and over again. It's wonderful. Hey, you guys are awesome. So, I was thinking a lot about Roger Gilchrist. Next week we're going to do one of his favorite tunes. Another of his favorite tunes was Lass's Trombone, and we're not going to play it because I found a second trombone feature that was written by Henry Fillmore. He actually wrote 15 of these, what are called trombone schmears. So we're going to feature the trombone section, which Roger would have been right there in the middle, and they're just going to play all over the place. Could I just hear the first 4 measures there, trombones, so the audience knows what to look for? 1, 2, ready, and... Yep, make sure you do it in time. Oh my gosh. We're going to try that again. Try it again. 1, 2, this is practice. So this is called Slim Trombone. It's number 6 in a series of 15, written in 1918. And he wrote it for the circus. These were all written to play in between things at the circus. So I see a lot of balloons. So let's make believe we're at the circus. Ready, and trombones! They were awesome! Huh? Wind trombones! Woo! What a hoot! What a hoot!
You know, you were really getting it there, yeah.
All right. Once again, we're going to play a number and then take a short intermission because we need to buy our raffle tickets. We need to buy our hot dog. You know how the drill goes. So, in the second half, we have, wait a minute, I don't want to get it wrong. The King and I, Masterpiece Theater. Oh, wait, wrong concert. Sorry. Sound of Music, Hello Dolly, You're a Grand Old Flag, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Hail, Hail, the gang's all here. So we'll play some pretty cool stuff. So, we're going to do a Cohan salute. It features the song Bill Bailey, Mary is a Grand Old Name, Yankee Doodle Boy, and You're a Grand Old Flag. Kind of our patriotic salute here at the close of the first half.
Fighting, ready, set.
All right, we're going to be playing highlights of the Sound of Music, but are we ready for the 50? Oh. Oh, well, then we're going to have to play the Sound of Music. All right, we'll have to play the Sound of Music. We are going to play highlights from the Sound of Music. It's going to feature music, Climb Every Mountain, Do, Re, Mi, My Favorite Things, and the Sound of Music theme.
1, 4.
So, you know what happens on some of these arrangements, there's a roadmap to save paper, and so we have to figure out where to go. Hey, this is Hail, Hail, the Gang's All Here, featuring We Won't Go Home Until Morning. So there you go, you can't go home till morning. Home Again, and this is one of the reasons I picked it, is Turkey in the Straw. How many of you see turkeys all over the roads and in the fields around here lately? There are lots of turkeys. So we're going to play Turkey in the Straw, and we end with Hail, Hail, the Gang's All Here.
You got it figured out? All right. One, two, and.
Of course, as you can see down here, we have another concert on July 15th, and if the weather's like this, it's going to be awesome. Some great music planned. We're going to pull up Shake, Rattle, and Roll next. We had to do a pop song. What I like about this arrangement is you can sing, and the band is supposed to sing too. I don't know if they will. I said shake, rattle, and roll. I said shake, rattle, and roll. So this is an audience participation song. If you feel the urge, join us.
1, 2, 3, and.
We close every concert with an arrangement by Anthony, right here in our clarinet section, of a wonderful song, Till We Meet Again. He's called it Good Night, Lunenburg. We'd like to wish you a good night. We hope to see you on the 15th. We will be playing Mary Poppins. And my granddaughters are going to come. They requested Mary Poppins because they wanted to dance. So next week, if you want to see my grandchildren dance creatively at 6 and 7 years old, come hear Mary Poppins.